What if I told you that on one quiet Sunday morning, a single attack changed the course of world history forever? An attack so devastating that it transformed an entire nation overnight. An attack that pushed America into the deadliest war humanity had ever seen. And an attack whose echoes can still be heard decades later. Stay with me until the end, because today we are uncovering one of the most dramatic and shocking moments in modern history. Pearl Harbor. The day America. Before we begin, take a moment to comment below. History matters. If you believe the lessons of the past still shape our future. Now, let's go back to the year 1941. The world was already burning. Across Europe, war raged as Nazi Germany expanded its power. In Asia, Japan was pursuing its own ambitions, seeking resources and territory throughout the Pacific region. Tensions between the United States and Japan had been rising for years. America opposed Japanese expansion and responded with economic restrictions and embargoes. Japan viewed these actions as a serious threat to its future. Both nations stood at a crossroads. Diplomatic discussions continued. Negotiations took place. But beneath the surface, something far more dangerous was developing. Japanese military planners had begun preparing one of the boldest attacks in military history. Their objective was simple: cripple America's Pacific Fleet, destroy its ability to interfere with Japanese operations, and gain enough time to expand across the Pacific without immediate opposition. The target was Pearl Harbor. Located in Hawaii, Pearl Harbor served as one of America's most important naval bases. Powerful battleships rested in its harbor. Military aircraft stood ready on nearby airfields. Thousands of sailors and servicemen lived and worked there. For many, December 7, 1941, began like any other Sunday. The morning was calm. The skies were clear. Families prepared for church services. Sailors enjoyed a rare day of rest. No one expected history to arrive from the sky. Hundreds of miles away, a powerful Japanese carrier strike force moved silently through the Pacific Ocean. The operation required extraordinary secrecy. Aircraft carriers carried waves of bombers, fighters, and torpedo planes. Pilots received detailed briefings. Targets were assigned. Routes were planned. Every detail mattered. Failure could change everything. Success could shock an entire nation. As dawn approached, the first wave of aircraft launched into the air. Engines roared. Pilots climbed into formation. The attack was underway. Back at Pearl Harbor, most people remained unaware of the danger approaching them. A few warning signs appeared. Some radar operators detected unusual activity. But confusion and uncertainty prevented immediate action. The possibility of a large-scale attack seemed unlikely to many. After all, Hawaii was thousands of miles from Japan. An assault on this scale appeared almost impossible. Yet the impossible was about to happen. Shortly before 8 a.m., Japanese aircraft appeared over Oahu. Within moments, began falling. Torpedoes raced through the water. Machine guns opened fire. The peaceful morning instantly transformed into chaos. Explosions shook the harbor. Smoke rose into the sky. Sirens screamed across military installations. Men rushed from barracks. Sailors scrambled toward battle stations. Officers attempted to organize defenses, but the attack had achieved its greatest advantage. Surprise. Many American aircraft were parked closely together. Japanese pilots targeted them aggressively. Airfields erupted into flames. Aircraft were damaged before they could even take off. Across the harbor, battleships became primary targets. Massive explosions rocked the fleet. One of the most devastating moments occurred aboard the USS Arizona. A powerful explosion tore through the ship. The blast was catastrophic. Within moments, countless lives were lost. The destruction shocked everyone who witnessed it. Flames and smoke covered the vessel. The scene became one of the most unforgettable images of the attack. Yet, amid the devastation, acts of courage emerged everywhere. Sailors fought fires while explosions continued around them. Medical personnel treated the wounded under dangerous conditions. Pilots rushed to get aircraft airborne. Crew members worked desperately to save damaged ships. Many risked their own lives to help others. Some never returned. Others became symbols of extraordinary bravery. The attack continued in waves. Bombs struck military facilities. Ships suffered severe damage. Communication networks struggled to keep pace with the rapidly changing situation. For those experiencing it firsthand, every minute felt endless. No one knew exactly how long the assault would continue. No one knew whether an invasion would follow. Fear and uncertainty spread rapidly. Yet determination spread as well. American forces fought back wherever possible. Anti-aircraft guns filled the sky with defensive fire. Servicemen adapted to the crisis as best they could. What began as complete surprise slowly turned into resistance. The battle was far from over. As smoke covered Pearl Harbor, the scale of the disaster became increasingly clear. Ships were burning. Aircraft were destroyed. Thousands of lives had been affected in a matter of hours. The attack had succeeded in shocking America, but it had also awakened something powerful: resolve. The Japanese leadership hoped the strike would discourage American involvement in the Pacific. Instead, it produced a very different reaction. News of the attack spread rapidly across the United States. Families gathered around radios. Newspapers rushed out special editions. Citizens struggled to comprehend what had happened. How could such an attack occur? Who was responsible? What would happen next? Questions filled every corner of the nation. And soon, America would provide its answer. In our next chapter, we will uncover how the attack transformed public opinion, how President Franklin D. Roosevelt responded, and how Pearl Harbor pushed the United States directly into World War II. If you've learned something valuable so far, write "Never Forget" in the comments below. And if you feel happy with my words and enjoy discovering the mysteries that shaped our world, please like, subscribe, and share this documentary with others. Your support helps this channel continue bringing history's most powerful stories to life. Stay with us until the very end of this journey, because the most important consequences of Pearl Harbor are still ahead. As the smoke slowly drifted over Pearl Harbor and rescue crews worked tirelessly among the wreckage, the United States faced a moment unlike any in its history. The attack had lasted only a short time, but its impact would last for generations. Across Hawaii, emergency teams searched for survivors. Ships that had once represented American naval power now sat damaged, burning, or sinking. Families waited anxiously for news. Military commanders assessed losses. Doctors and nurses worked around the clock. The reality of what had happened became clearer with every passing hour. The nation had been attacked, and nothing would ever be the same again. Throughout December 7, reports flooded into Washington. Military leaders gathered information from Hawaii. Telephones rang constantly. Messages moved between government offices. Officials attempted to understand the full scope of the disaster. The numbers were staggering. Thousands had been killed or wounded. Numerous ships had been damaged or destroyed. Aircraft losses were significant. The attack had achieved tactical surprise. But another development was unfolding at the same time, something the Japanese planners had not fully anticipated. Instead of breaking American determination, the attack united the country. Political disagreements suddenly seemed less important. Regional differences faded. Citizens from every background shared a common feeling. America had to respond. On the morning of December 8, 1941, millions of Americans listened closely as President Franklin D. Roosevelt prepared to address Congress. The nation waited. The world watched. The speech that followed would become one of the most famous in history. Roosevelt described December 7 as a date which will live in infamy. Those words immediately captured the emotions of an entire nation. His message was direct. America had been deliberately attacked. America would defend itself, and America would prevail. The reaction was overwhelming. Members of Congress supported a declaration of war. Public support reached extraordinary levels. Men volunteered for military service. Women joined war-related industries and organizations. Communities organized support efforts. Factories prepared for increased production. The attack on Pearl Harbor had transformed public opinion almost overnight. Before the attack, many Americans hoped to remain outside the growing global conflict. After Pearl Harbor, the debate largely disappeared. The war had arrived at America's doorstep. The nation would now become a central participant in World War II. For Japan, the attack initially appeared successful. The surprise strike had caused significant damage. Military leaders celebrated what seemed like a major victory. Across the Pacific, Japanese forces continued launching operations against additional targets. Territories fell rapidly. Military advances occurred across vast areas. For a brief period, Japan appeared unstoppable. Yet hidden beneath the success was a critical problem. Several important American aircraft carriers were not present at Pearl Harbor during the attack. These carriers would later play a decisive role in the Pacific War. The Japanese strike had damaged battleships, but it had not eliminated America's ability to fight. In fact, the industrial strength of the United States was only beginning to awaken. American factories soon became engines of unprecedented production. Shipyards expanded, aircraft manufacturing accelerated, military recruitment increased dramatically, entire industries shifted towards supporting the war effort. The scale was extraordinary. Factories that once produced civilian products now manufactured tanks, aircraft, ships, and military equipment. Workers labored day and night. Innovation accelerated. Production records were shattered repeatedly. The nation mobilized on a scale few had imagined possible. Meanwhile, thousands of young Americans entered military service. Some joined the Navy, others entered the Army, Marine Corps, or Army Air Forces. Many had never traveled far from home before. Now they prepared to serve around the world. Training camps expanded rapidly. Military bases filled with recruits. Communities watched sons, brothers, fathers, and friends leave for service. The war touched nearly every family. Yet amid the determination, there was also grief. Pearl Harbor remained a painful memory. Families mourned lost loved ones. Survivors carried emotional scars. The attack became a symbol of sacrifice. It reminded Americans of the cost of freedom and the dangers of complacency. For those who had lived through the events of December 7, the memories never disappeared. Many survivors later described the sudden explosions, the confusion, the courage, the fear, and the determination they witnessed that morning. Their stories helped future generations understand the human side of history. Not merely statistics, not simply military operations, but real people facing extraordinary circumstances. As the war progressed, battles spread across Europe, Africa, Asia, and the Pacific. The United States became one of the major Allied powers. American forces participated in some of the most significant campaigns of the conflict. The road ahead was difficult. Victory would require enormous sacrifice. Countless lives would be affected. But the commitment that emerged after Pearl Harbor never disappeared. The attack had awakened a national resolve that would help shape the outcome of World War II. Years later, historians would continue studying the events leading to Pearl Harbor. Questions would be asked, warnings would be analyzed, decisions would be examined, lessons would be debated. Yet one fact remained undeniable. December 7, 1941, changed history. It altered the course of World War II. It transformed American foreign policy. It reshaped military strategy. And it influenced global events for decades to come. Today, visitors from around the world travel to Pearl Harbor to remember those who served and sacrificed. The site stands as both a memorial and a lesson. A reminder that peace should never be taken for granted. A reminder that preparedness matters. And a reminder that even in moments of great tragedy, courage can emerge. The story of Pearl Harbor is not only about war, it is also about resilience, about sacrifice, about unity during times of crisis. and about the choices nations make when confronted by extraordinary challenges. History often turns on a single day, a single decision, a single moment. For the United States, Pearl Harbor was one of those moments. A quiet Sunday morning became a turning point that reshaped the 20th century, and the lessons of that day continue to echo across generations. As we conclude this documentary, remember that understanding history is not simply about learning what happened. It is about recognizing how past events continue to influence our world today. If this story inspired you, comment "History Never Sleeps" below and share the most important lesson you learned from Pearl Harbor. And if you enjoy exploring the greatest mysteries, battles, and turning points in human history, please support this channel by liking, subscribing, and sharing this documentary with others. Your encouragement helps keep these important stories alive for future generations. Thank you for watching, and remember, those who understand history are better prepared to shape the future.